Thousands crowded onto the Florida coast. Some even rushed into the sea, all to welcome a 64-year-old lady ashore. She moved very slowly, taking several minutes to walk just a few meters, but everyone was full of anticipation, until the moment her feet left the water. The crowd erupted in cheers that filled the sky. Her name is Ned. Just 2.5 days ago, Ned entered the sea from Cuba, spending 52 hours to cross 170 kilometers, through storms, currents, sharks, and deadly jellyfish swarms, completing an unprecedented feat, crossing the Straits of Florida, swimming non-stop from Cuba to the United States. Her story has astounded millions online, and made countless people believe that age is no excuse to give up on dreams. Ned was a prodigy, already a marathon swimming world champion in the 1970s, setting multiple long-distance swimming records. At 28, she made crossing the Straits of Cuba her retirement battle. At that time, Ned was in her prime. She even built a 10-ton protective cage for herself, and had a professional team accompany her throughout. But after 42 hours, she was swollen and lifted back onto the boat, marking a failed end to her glorious career. Afterwards, Ned never swam again. Instead, she turned to a career in sports journalism, becoming a reporter. Decades passed in a flash. At 60, Ned found a phrase in a folded page of a book while sorting her mother's belongings. "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" As if guided by fate, Ned was struck by an idea that kept her awake at night. She took out videos that had been stored away for years. Seeing her youthful, spirited self, tears sparkled in her eyes. The next day, she went to the pool, jumping into the water for the first time in 30 years without any hesitation. She instinctively moved her arms, feeling lighter and lighter. This 60-year-old body rejuvenated in the water. After a while, Ned shared her idea with Lucy. She wanted to challenge the Straits of Cuba again. Lucy's first reaction was, "Are you crazy? You couldn't do it at 28, and now at 60. But seeing Ned's determined look, Lucy agreed to join her in the fight. Soon, they went to Mexico for a test swim, but the results were not ideal. Ned returned to the boat shivering after just 4 hours. Lucy told her, "Change your dream. I've consulted experts. They think it's impossible for humans to swim from Cuba to Florida, especially for a woman your age." This comment only fueled Ned's determination. The next day, she swam with all her might, determined to prove that what others deemed impossible, she could achieve. Unbeknownst to her, this was exactly what Lucy wanted to see. This time, Ned's performance doubled. Seeing Lucy's smug expression, Ned then realized she had been provoked by reverse psychology. But she needed exactly this kind of coach. Someone who understood her well, and knew how to unlock her potential. What followed was a long and tedious physical training. In Ned's gym, there was this saying posted: "A diamond is just a lump of coal that stuck with it." Through perseverance, this piece of coal would shine brightly before the world. A year later, Ned finally arrived in Cuba. She assembled a team, including a shark deterrent expert, an old sailor to monitor the current directions in real time, and a silent but top-level female captain. News began to report on this legendary swimmer in her 60s. Could she reclaim her youthful dream? Most people were skeptical, because in history, only 12 people had swum continuously for more than 48 hours, and Ned aimed to cross the Straits of Cuba in at least 52 hours, facing jellyfish, sharks, and unpredictable currents. But Ned's courage to pursue the seemingly impossible won her many fans. In August 2011, Ned officially started her first attempt at a comeback, swimming towards the long-missed azure depths amid cheers and applause. At first, the journey went smoothly, basking in the sun by day and following the lights at night. Thus, she swam day and night, moving her arms stroke by stroke. However, on the second day during an energy replenishment, Ned mentioned her shoulder was uncomfortable. Lucy knew her discomfort meant pain that others couldn't bear. She immediately had the doctor give Ned painkillers. Unexpectedly, Ned's face soon began to turn red. It turned out the doctor forgot Ned was allergic to non-steroidal medication and gave her the wrong medicine. Ned, not wanting to give up so easily, continued to swim forward, but her breathing became increasingly difficult, continuously swallowing seawater. Eventually, she had to turn over, helplessly floating on the surface. To make matters worse, the old sailor noticed the current pushing them off course. With Ned's current condition, moving forward was like 2 steps forward, 10 steps back, only taking them further away from their destination. Lucy had no choice but to blow the whistle and call Ned back. With heavy hearts and frustration, they ended the challenge. 7 weeks later, amid growing skepticism and dwindling support, Ned set off again. However, this time, just 12 hours in, an accident occurred. Fire! Fire! How could there be a fire in the sea? The new doctor immediately jumped in to rescue, but as he approached Ned, he was overwhelmed by a severe burning sensation. The doctor realized they were being attacked by box jellyfish. This seemingly harmless creature is one of the world's most venomous. Its tentacles deliver a pain as intense as being burned by fire. Lucy quickly administered medication to them, but the strong doctor was barely alive when pulled back onto the boat. Ned remained in the water, looking into Lucy's eyes, saying, "I don't want to give up." At this moment, she was in a dilemma. As a coach, she couldn't let Ned risk her life, but as Lucy, she couldn't bear to persuade Ned to give up. Eventually, she decided to continue forward. Ned persisted to the next day. Bright red tentacle marks on her neck reminded them how dangerous the previous night was. Lucy made a simple hood for Ned, hoping it would offer some protection, but it was in vain.
My face!
By evening, Ned was stung by box jellyfish again. This time, she completely lost consciousness. After being pulled back onto the boat, she momentarily stopped breathing. During the resuscitation, she suddenly took a deep breath, but that breath was not exhaled for a long time. The old sailor noticed Ned's breathing rate was the same as when she was in the water. She thought she was still swimming. This injury severely damaged Ned's body. A doctor specializing in box jellyfish said, "Humans don't develop immunity to box jellyfish venom. It only gets more severe with each sting." Ned could not afford another sting. During her long recovery, a swimming champion also aimed to cross the Straits of Cuba, in the same manner and route as Ned, but she was only 24 years old.
This is my window. She's stealing my swim.
Ned closely monitored the challenge from the start on her computer, but in just about half a day, they saw on the news.
Painful stings from a swarm of the creatures just 11 hours into the swim forced McCardle to ditch the whole idea.
Yeah!
The opportunity fell back into Ned's hands. She rushed back to Cuba, eager to start again. But the old sailor said the weather at sea was bad, advising her to change locations or wait until next year. Ned firmly rejected the old sailor's advice. Indeed, 40 hours after they started, they encountered a storm. Their boat was tossed around. Lightning exploded right beside them. Huge waves repeatedly smashed Ned back into the water. She almost lost contact with the boat. After finally finding Ned, Lucy urged her to quickly get on the boat.
No! I'm telling you! I can do it! Are you out of your mind? No!
Even in such a terrifying situation, Ned wanted to continue, but Lucy knew this could endanger everyone. This failure and Ned's stubborn attitude caused team members to leave one by one. Even Lucy couldn't stand it, and had a big argument with her. Ned's obsession with her dream was so intense that she disregarded her own life and others' feelings. Working with someone like that can be admirable, but also exhausting. Alone, Ned didn't give up training, but every time she looked towards the pool, she felt something missing inside. In a speech, she shared her experiences over the past 2 years, only to realize she couldn't avoid mentioning Lucy and the team. She always believed success came from persistence, but over the years, she only focused on training and swimming. Everything else was handled by her partners, and she had overlooked this. When Ned couldn't open her hotel room door with her card, she felt a strong sense of helplessness, more distressing than being in the stormy sea. At least then, she had her teammates with her. Ned called the old sailor, and awkwardly apologized for dismissing his advice. The old sailor accepted the apology, but he also stated he couldn't come back to help her. Ned expressed her understanding, albeit reluctantly. Lucy had moved on with her own life. She visited Ned but soon left again. Ned still didn't give up. She went to Cuba alone and hired a local fisherman to assist her, but he was clearly unreliable. Lucy was also hesitant. That day, as she was driving, she heard a radio host quote that phrase.
"What is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?"
Jeez.
As if guided by fate once again, Lucy set aside all concerns and rushed to Ned's side. They had been best friends since their youth, and had wasted half a lifetime together. There was no reason to part ways at this moment.
If you die, I want to be the last person you see.
Lucy called back the other teammates. Even the old sailor showed up. At this moment, they were united by a common dream. On August 31st, 2013, 64-year-old Ned began her fifth attempt. This time, there were no cheering crowds along the shore. Only Lucy stood firmly behind her. Ned shouted courage and resolutely jumped into the water. The azure sea seemed to form a barrier, separating her from the world's turmoil. Here, all she needed to do was keep moving her arms, pushing forward. Less than 4 hours into the journey, they encountered a shark. The shark deterrent expert immediately jumped into the water to protect Ned. It turned out the shark deterrent device had malfunctioned. One person hurried to repair it while another stood in front of Ned with a long stick. As the shark charged, she didn't flinch, until the last moment when the device started working again and the shark was driven away. At night, it was time for the box jellyfish to appear. This time, they learned their lesson and prepared a special protective suit and mask for Ned. Fortune finally favored them. Not only did she survive the night unharmed, but the next day they caught a favorable current pushing them towards Florida. 133 kilometers. Ned broke her previous record, but her strength was also draining, and because she swallowed a lot of seawater, replenishing with drinking water and food became especially difficult. Ned silently dived back into the water. While swimming, she felt as if she saw a palace underwater. Following the splendid path ahead was the direction of victory. At night, Lucy suddenly blew the whistle, calling Ned to the side of the boat, instructing her to remove her mask and goggles. Ned thought there was another problem, but Lucy pointed her towards something. A faint light on the horizon was the light of Florida. They were almost there. On the third day, there was still some distance to the finish line, but Ned had exhausted all her energy. Her vision blurred, and consciousness began to fade. Her limbs weakly moved without making any progress. Lucy removed her coat and jumped into the water. According to the rules, she couldn't touch Ned, or it would count as a challenge failure.
I'm not gonna let you give up. See if you can do it. I bet you can. Can you give me one quick stroke just to...
Encouraged by Lucy, Ned vigorously moved her arms. Stroke by stroke, she finally broke through her limits, awakening the strength hidden deep within her body. As the finish line drew closer, she swam faster and faster. The media reported Ned's journey, a challenge that had defeated countless athletes, labeled as impossible for humans, was about to be completed by a 64-year-old. More and more boats and people hurried to the scene. They gathered at the shore, chanting Ned's name. Ned stepped onto land, walking towards the shore step by step. The team members went ahead to clear a path, because they they had to maintain no contact until she made it ashore herself. For more than 50 hours, she had been floating in the water. Now, standing up and walking again was slow and difficult.
You can do it. This is all you, nobody else. Just a couple more feet.
Ned lived up to expectations. When her feet left the water, Lucy embraced her tightly. The crowd erupted. This woman, who never showed any weakness against deadly jellyfish, sharks, and huge waves, shed tears at this moment.